how to put the two hands together. So this is about the left hand being linking to the next bar, to the pinky of the next bar, and pinky, whether your pinky is going to G7 chord or not. So watch the other video where I'm talking about rotation and the two options of playing and an F chord. So those things have to be practiced outside of the song. Just keep randomly going from C to G7 to F to G7 to C to whatever, right? Randomly. And then only do you actually look at your notes. And like I said, try to look at your notes instead of looking at the chord symbol on top, because you actually want to get used to reading, right? So this is an approximation reading. You already know your chords. You already know how to play them. So when you're putting two hands, what do? One tiny chunk at a time. What do I mean by tiny? When it's the same chord, you could actually do all of this, but only get to the first note with the chord change. So you only do up until the chord change. But I think those of you in my class today, you can probably put this together. So both hands in C, and we start. And the left hand goes in, so the pinky together. And here's a difficulty, because the left hand has to lift in order to repeat this, right? The left hand lifted right here. But your right hand has to hold that pinky through to make it smooth. And that's a difficulty. So let's practice that bar. Pinky and pinky. Lift. And I'm still holding my pinky. Then I'm going to play it again with the 3. Right? Okay, one more time. Pinky, lift. And then I play with my 3. And then both hands are legato. That means smooth to the other side. Ready? One more time. Pinky together. Left hand lifts, right hand holds. And then both hands are super legato. So because of technique, even though it's the whole thing is the same chord, which seems to be, oh, that's easy, I could do that. No, I would then focus really hard on just getting the articulation correctly. Just that part, that little bit. Because if you're able to do smoothly from 5 to 3 to 5 in the right hand, and then smoothly from here to here, that's your goal. And here, well, you have no choice. I'm going to take it out, because you have no choice. You have to lift your left hand to repeat, right? And that's the difficulty. And if that comes with a lot of repeat, like that, then it's great. And then, right? So just do that a lot. Then you will realize that the next bar is the same sort of thing. So the next bar is basically legato there, legato there. So since you practice the first block really well, it will be no sweat for you to practice the second block. Let's do that one. Hold the right hand and the left hand. Okay? Now, here comes the importance of articulation. You see the phrase that I talked about when we were learning the right hand? This is a phrase. Do the whole phrase 2 hands first, over and over. Making sure that your left hand legato to the next hand to begin a new hand position and a new phrase. Let's color that phrase green. This is a new phrase. So I'm allowed to pick up my left hand as well. So I've just finished with bar 4. If I lift, it's okay for me to lift the left hand as well because it's a new phrase. If you want to keep your left hand down and do legato still, that's okay too. It's okay there. But the right hand definitely has to lift because you're changing phrase. That's like breathing for a singer. So from the beginning, hold the right hand smoothly. You lift the right hand, and you can either lift or not lift your left hand, but it's easier, I think, to lift both. And you're beginning a new phrase. Legato to the next bar. Legato to the next bar. Legato to the G chord. And now I've done the green phrase. So if you have never done umcha, I would recommend you still practice just one bar at a time until you can get to the next bar, pinky, left hand, and feel like you did that legato. And you're double checking that your fingers are all legato on the top because it's a melody. When I was just, you're not singing when I was just. So I do not want to hear right? Perhaps that would be the first step, that you are able to just move your right hand and play your umcha, but you could see and hear that it's very choppy. It's not the smooth Sera Sera that we know. And this is what it takes to really practice. It's just one single bar with one more note. Let's do the first one, pink. The pink one, do that really well, double checking you're smooth in your right hand. Then to do the blue one, and then here on the green phrase, you could start right there and get there, right? And then do the next one and only get there. And every time you're doing one bar like that, you're checking for what I wrote in red. You're checking your right hand smooth, always smooth, and that your left hand also is consistently smooth like the way you practice, which is where your left hand is always smooth from the first beat to the second beat, then from the third beat to the first beat, and the first beat to the second beat, then the third beat to the first beat. And that has been how you practiced. Smooth and smooth, right? If that's how you practiced. On the other hand, if you did practice your umcha like this, then the only place that's smooth is first beat and second beat. Everything else is not smooth. And that makes a difference when you're actually doing your phrase right hand smooth. This left hand lifted, but not this one. Again, left hand lifted, but not this one. Both hands lift for the second phrase, bar 5. This hand lifted, but not this one. Next bar, A, G. This hand lifted, but not this one. This one is still holding the right hand. This one is lifted, and it sets up for G7 chord. lift because it's a new phrase beginning on the last, so after this phrase here, the new phrase begins on the last bar of the first line and continues down here. So you have to kind of stop everywhere like that and making sure your articulation is good. Or I would say do technique. What do you mean technique? You know that warm up that you do? So can you do that? Vice versa. And how about if I just switch randomly, like the first one would be like this. On the way down, I switched. Be able to switch it faster. All of that is connecting your brain a certain way, and that is what some research has found by analyzing people's brain, that the pianists who are using both sides equally, there's a part in right in the middle of the brain, corpus callosum. I'm really wrong because I'm not a neurologist, but I have an app on my phone that I consult sometimes. There's this part that is really thick because that's the part that is in charge of connecting your two sides. And the more piano you play, that part gets thicker and thicker. So you can practice all of these coordination thing outside of the piano. They will help you a lot. So like I said, dribble the basketball, cleaning your table, and switch, right? And then the more you could switch easily, it's like this thing, right? The more your brain is wired a certain ways, and then when you get to a song, it's easier. But that's how you would put your two hands together. Practice each phrase very, very thoroughly before you start putting them together. And most importantly, choose while you want to play your left hand. Like my previous video, choose if you wanted to do or and then the technique. It's not with the fingers. There's a little bit of the rotation going on.